We'll be starting in a minute or two, but for our guests today or other visitors, we live stream our services, and there will be cameras that would pick you up if you come forward to offer incense. So that's just something to know. And if you prefer, which is your right, not to be videoed at all, that's beautiful, that's fine. But just go ahead then and know that we'll have cameras up here when people, sometimes from the back, but even from the side sometimes when people are offering incense at the altar. Thank you.
If you have not done so already, you are welcome to offer incense before the service begins. Hi. Thank you, everyone, for joining us this morning. We will open the service with the ringing of the Kansho bell. Good morning, and thank you for joining us on this very cool morning. I'm from Hawaii, so this is the kind of weather when we break out our down jackets. Anyway, we'll start off the service today with fruit and floral offering by the 5th through 8th grade class. Thank you. Today is SHOTSUKI HOYO, our monthly memorial service where we honor the lives of loved ones who passed away this month. Reverend Hōkai Smitty Smith will lead us in opening meditation, followed by the reading of the March SHOTSUKI HOYO names. Please come up and oshoko when the name of your family member is read, or if you have a loved one who passed away during March, whose name is not read, you are also welcome to come up and oshoko.
Kansho, listen to the Buddhist teaching, even if you must take time from your daily business. To believe that you will listen when you have some spare time is shallow thinking. There is no tomorrow in listening to the Dharma. Renyo Shonin. Namandab, 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 namandab. Again, you're welcome to come up and offer incense as I read the names, if you hear that of your loved one or friend. Reverend Laverne Sasaki, Kengo Yamamoto, Mary Sayoko Tomiyama, Emiko Ishisaki, Ayako Otsuji, Richard Iwao Ito Sr., Tohoro Hidetsu Shimizu, Gilbert Tsuji Wakisaka, Bruce Ryo Moriyama, Ben Shizuto Sekishiro, Mary Haruko Yagara, Shizuko Tsukamoto, Katie Tomoe Kraus, Tadami Maruyama, Susumu Kawato, Yoshiko Kawato, Sam Amano, Fred Nabetta, Rui Nemoto, Mark Isao Kasabuchi, Misao Kawasaki, Michael S. Kawamoto, Kyoko Hazel Baker, Masahito Iwanaga. Fumie E. Martin. Rosie Yamada. Kyo Kawasaki. Chisato Kuroe. Shoichi Nomura. Masaru Niwata. Mieko Holt. Karuki Koba. Thomas Yonikura. Miyuki Takanashi. Hisaji Tanaguchi. Hideo B. Watamura. Tsune Yamasaki. Zenpachi Kubota. Susumu Yagi. Shiru Takahishi. Kimi Tereda. Grace Hosaka. Sukeichi Yamada. Haruhiko Otsuji. Sunetorio. Masaru Yanagihara. Tetsutachiki. Hanano Matsuri. Masaaki Tanizaki. Yuku Hosaka. Kiyotaro Osaki. Teru Kiyono. Roy Yamada. Buemon Ohara. Shunzo Sakamoto. Shimeno Nabeta. Shina Nishiyue. Matsu Higuchi. Motono Oto. Usamatsu Morimoto. Akira Date. 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 Akira Date Yoshito Yamamoto, Zenkichi Iwashita, Shuji Kaneko, Hude Hirai, Tsune Hasayama, Ichinosuke Kiyono, Taiki Ikemi, Sawa Yamanishi, Dennis Suyenaga, Kura Hashimoto, Yoshigoro Mamai, Tokumatsu Shiosaki, Shina Shindo, Mizuno Nakano, Yonekichi Tsubakihara, Sakuichi Yano, Matsu Yamanishi, Iwakichi Okamura, Senkichi Yanagihara, Sadao Kinoshita, Tomie Tomimaru, Tsugiyo Ishisaki, again, you're welcome to come forward and offer incense for any friend, loved one, relative who has passed away in the month of March, whether I read their name today or not.
Thank you. Smitty Sensei will now lead us in chanting Juseige on page 35 of our BTSD service book.
세간 희심의조도 시간 후만속 세후조쇼각 가오무로코 후이다세슈 후사쇼빈구 세후조쇼각 가시조분도 묘쇼초지포 극효미쇼몬 세후조쇼각 리오쿠진쇼넨 조에슈본교 시그무조도 이쇼테닌시 진리키엔다이코 후쇼무사이도 쇼족산쿠묘 고사이슈야쿠난 가히치에겐 메시코모안 해소쿠쇼아쿠도 트다든젠슈몬 고소조만족 이어로지포 니치가튼 슈주키 텐코옴푸겐 이슈카이호조 고세쿠도쿠호 조오다이슈추 세포시시쿠 kuyo isai butsu gusokushu tokuhon gan e shiten joman toku isangai o nyobuten mugechi tsudaten mi husho Gangaku erik toshi saisho son shiganya koka daisen okando koku shotenin touchin Nam Gasho, Namanda, 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 Namanda.
Please stand and join me in reciting our pledge, which can be found on the insert in your service book. Breaking out of my shell, I will share a warm smile and speak gentle words, just like the kind Buddha. Not becoming lost in my greed, anger, and ignorance, I shall think and act with an open mind, just like the calm and peaceful Buddha. Not putting myself first, I will share in the joy and sadness of others, just like the compassionate Buddha. Realizing the gift of life I have received, I shall strive to live each day to its fullest, like the Buddha who tirelessly works to liberate all. Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namanda, Namanda. Thank you. You may be seated. Smitty Sensei will now present the Dharma School message.
Well, good morning, everybody. Okay, I'm just curious, how many Dharma School students read the Busse script, our monthly newsletter? Anybody? You don't even go there to do the puzzles and games page? Oh, what's that? We don't have a puzzles and games page? No wonder why the kids don't read. Yeah, we should put in coloring and puzzles and games. Maybe you'll have some of the kids reading the Busse script then. Just a thought. Anyways, in this month's issue of the Temple's newsletter, Reverend Gibbs wrote about being surrounded by friends and family, and how our temple members have helped the Pasadena Buddhist temple members who lost homes in the recent wildfires. And Gibbs Sensei said that the gift card donation program was initiated by members of the Buddhist Temple of San Diego, and subsequently, most of our fellow temples in Southern District have made substantial donations along the same lines. And I wish to truly and deeply thank you for this. The members of BTSD have made it very clear to the Sangha members devastated by the Eaton and Palisades fires that you are here with them. Thank you. So that's an example of really supporting others and working together. And I know a lot of you helped to make those donations, whether they were directly of gift cards or of money to purchase the gift cards. Thanks for helping out. And when we work together, we're traveling the Jodo Shinshu path with others. We're traveling it together. So today I'd like to share with you the Jataka tale of the Quarreling Quails, which is a story about working as a team and helping others. So deep in the forests of India lived a flock of quail that numbered in the thousands. And for the most part, the quails lived quiet and peaceful lives. They were led by a very wise quail who was their king. There was also a man that lived near the forest who earned his living by catching quail and selling them in the market nearby. Day after day, this man listened to the note of the leader calling the other quails. And after some time and practice, this man, the hunter, was able to mimic the songs and calls that the quails made to each other. Hearing the familiar notes, the quails thought it was their king who called. And once the quail all responded to this call and were gathered together, the hunter threw his net over the unwary birds, scooping them up, and he flung the full net over his shoulder. And then the hunter hauled away his prey into town, where he quickly sold all the quails that he had caught for quite a bit of money. And most of the quails sold at the market would be on dinner tables that very evening. So the wise quail king noticed that something was amiss. Day after day, the numbers of quail diminished, and family members and friends went missing. So calling his flock together, the king announced, "My fellow quail, I'm afraid there's a hunter in our forest. Many of our brothers, sisters, parents, aunties, uncles, and cousins are now missing. We must be alert. Danger is all around us. Still, if we work together, we can stay free and, more importantly, alive. Please listen to my plan. If you should hear a whistling call as if another quail were calling, be very watchful. If you follow that call, you may find darkness descending upon you," as the quail king referenced the big net that the hunter used. "Your wings may be pinned so that you can't fly, and the fear of death may grip your heart. If these things happen, just understand that if you have been trapped by the hunter's net, but do not give up. Remember, if you work together, you can be free. Now this is my plan. You must stick your heads out through the holes of the net, and then you must flap your wings together in unison. As a group, though you're still bound in the net, you'll be able to rise up into the air. Then fly to a thorn bush and let the net drape on the branches of the bush so each of you can drop down through the bush to the ground, and then you fly away from under the net to freedom. Do you understand? Can you do this?" And all the quails shouted, "Yes, sir. We understand," answering as one, and that they'll do it. We'll work together as a team and be free. And hearing this, the wise king was content. So the very next day, a group of quail were pecking on the ground when they heard a long whistling call. It was the cry of a quail in distress. So off they rushed. Suddenly, darkness descended on them, and their wings were pinned, and they had indeed been trapped by the hunter's net. But remembering the wise king's words, they didn't panic. Sticking their heads out through the webbing of the net, they flapped their wings in unison until they rose as a group through the air. Then, as instructed, they flew to a thorn bush, and they dropped down through the bush, leaving the net hung on the other outer branches and thorns. And then they flew away, each in their own direction, this way and that, to freedom. The plan worked. They were safe. They had escaped from the jaws of death, or the net of death. And they were really happy. But the hunter was not happy. He couldn't understand how the quail had escaped him. And this happened not just once, but many times. So day after day, the hunter returned home empty-handed, and his wife grew angry with each passing day. She demanded to know how they were going to live if the hunter couldn't catch any quail to sell at the market. At last, the hunter realized the truth. "Why," he said, amazed, "those quail are cooperating. They're working together. But it can't last. They're only stupid birds, feather brains after all. Sooner or later, they'll argue, and when they do, I'll have them." And so the hunter patiently waited for the flock to stop cooperating and working together. Now the wise king quail had the same thought. Sooner or later, the birds of his flock would begin to argue, and when that happened, they would be lost to the hunter. So he decided to lead them deeper into the forest, far from the present danger. That very day, something happened to confirm the wise quail king's thoughts. When one of the quails came in for a landing on their feeding ground, he accidentally dropped in on top of a pecking quail and kicked him in the head. "Hey, watch it, stupid," called the pecking quail in anger. "Stupid, is it?" responded the newly landed quail, somewhat flustered because he knew he had been careless. "Why are you so high and mighty? You were too dumb to move out of my way. Yes, you were too dumb, you dumb cluck." So now the name-calling really began. "Dumb cluck, is it?" cried the second quail. "Dumb cluck? Why, talking of dumb, it's clear you can't even land without kicking someone in the face. If that isn't dumb, I don't know what is. Who taught you to fly anyways? The Air Force?" Okay, I'm pretty sure the second quail didn't say Air Force as a way to demean the first quail, but as a retired Navy pilot, I can assure you that the clumsy quail didn't learn to fly in the Navy. Anyway, you get the idea. The next thing you know, the two quail were chasing furiously after one another, loudly hurtling insults and threats back and forth, and they flew twisting and turning between the great silent trees in the forest. An argument had started, and as it is the way of arguments, there's sometimes no end in sight. So the wise Quail King was nearby and heard it all. At once he knew that danger was again upon them. If they couldn't work together as a team, the hunter was sure to capture them. So again he called his flock together and said, "My dear flock, the hunter is here. Let's fly elsewhere, deeper into the forest, and there, in seclusion, we can practice our skills of working together. In this way, we'll truly become free from the danger." So most of the quail shouted, "Though we love our present home, we'll go with you, wise Quail King." "Aye, aye, sir. The danger is great, and we wish to find safety." But there were some quail who said, "Why go from this pleasant spot? You yourself, wise Quail King, have taught us all we need to know in order to be free. We know what to do. We just have to stick our heads out of the webbing of the net, flap our wings together, and fly away to the thorn bush. Any dumb cluck can do it. We're going to stay." So some of the birds flew off with a wise quail leader, while others stayed in the grove near the hunter's house. And a few days later, as some of those who stayed were scratching around at lunchtime, they heard a whistling call, and they ran to answer the quail call, when suddenly darkness descended upon them, and fear gripped their hearts, and they were trapped in the hunter's net. But remembering the wise Quail King's teaching, they stuck their heads out through the net, and one bird said, "On the count of 3, we all flap. Ready? 1, 2, 3. But instead of flapping in unison, they began to argue. "Hey," called another quail, "who made you the boss? Who said you could give the orders?" "I'm the hardest worker and the strongest," the first bird responded. "When I flap my wings, the dust rises from the earth and swirls up into clouds. Without me, you'd never get this net off the ground. So I give the orders. Got it?" "No, I don't got it," shouted yet another quail. "What you've just described is nothing. Why, when I flap my wings, all the leaves move on the trees, the branches bend, and even the trunks sway. That's how strong I am. So if anyone should be giving orders around here, it's me." "No, it should be me," shouted a third bird. "Me," yelled a fourth quail. No, listen to me," screamed the first bird again above the rising din. "Flap, flap, flap. Come on, quail, flap your wings all together when I say 3. But no one flapped. They just argued and argued. They called each other names and kicked dust at each other. And as they argued, the hunter came along and found them. Their fate, alas, was not a happy one. But the group of quail who had gone deeper into the safety of the great forest learned, under the wise Quail King's guidance, how to really cooperate and work together as a team. They practiced constantly until they were indeed able to work together without jealousy, anger, or argument. And though the hunter tried many times to catch these quail, he never could. And if he never caught them, I'm sure they're still free and flying around the forest to this day. So perhaps, as some of the early monks did with the Jataka tales, I've embellished the story and have taken some liberties with the original telling of how it went. But I hope this message of this simple story, the teachings of humility and cooperation and patience, selflessness, and teamwork ring true to you. By working together, we can get a lot of things done. And as Gibbs Sensei said, by our working together with the Sangha up at Pasadena, we have made a difference in the lives of many people. So by working together, we're really traveling on the Jodo Shinshu path together. Please join me in Gassho. Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namandab, Namandab, Namandab.
Thank you, Sensei. That was a great message. We all must stick together, like on Friday. But anyway, that's something that's past, but we can look forward to more. Okay, let's see. Please rise for the Gatha, Sei Namo Amida Butsu, on pages 133 through 137 of the service book. Thank you, Trishia. You may be seated. We will now have the installation of the new Junior Y YBA cabinet. Cassidy?
Good morning. I will now be reading the names, I guess, of the current Junior IVA cabinet. All right, so to begin, we have Aya, who's our historian. Oh yeah, please go ahead, come on up to the front when I call your name. And then we have Jack, who's our treasurer. And then we have Paulina, who's our secretary. Arturo, our religious chair. Annika, our vice president. And then myself as the president. And then for our advisors, we have Sharon King, Ken Muraoka, and Miss Lorena Covarrubias.
Okay. We'll be taking the installation pledge now. So if you could turn around and face the Onaijin, face Amida. You, the newly elected, sort of newly elected, officers of the Junior Young Buddhist Association of the Buddhist Temple of San Diego, in accepting this office, take upon yourself certain responsibilities toward your Sangha and temple. Are you willing to forego some of your personal desires for the common good? Are you determined to do your part during your term in office in spreading the ideals of Shin Buddhism by living its core values, which is a life of gratitude for the benevolence of the Buddha and respect for the interdependence of all life? Will you provide your best effort and treat all others with respect and fairness? Your participation in serving this group with the values of Jodo Shinshu Buddhism will enhance your life and those of your fellow members. If you take these responsibilities, please repeat the following affirmation. I take office in the Junior YBA of the Buddhist Temple of San Diego. I accept my responsibilities and affirm my aspiration to keep the teachings of the Buddha as my guide. Gasho Namo Midabutsu Namanda 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 Namanda. Okay, here's your pseudo-newly elected officers and advisors for the Junior YBA. Hopefully they're able to operate as the cooperating quails did and not as the arguing quails operated.
Congratulations. And are there any announcements? And while folks are coming up, we'd like to welcome any visitors to our temple and today's service. If this is your first visit, would you please stand and introduce yourself? Wow, well, great. And we'll start from here. Oh, thank you for coming. Yes, and we have more. Okay, great. Thank you for coming, and welcome, everyone.
Good morning. I have some Dharma School announcements. Dharma School is our program for our pre-K to high school students, and we have a lot of activities coming up. starting with March 16th, which is our spring Ohigan service. And we have a special Dharma School, all Dharma School craft activity that's going to be led by, I see she's here, Wendy Nakamura. And it's a special koi stencil art project. So all the Dharma School students, if you could please let your teachers know if you'll be here on March 16th, preferably by today or if, by latest next Sunday, so we can know how many of these art projects to prepare. And then March 23rd, our entire Sangha, which is everyone here, is invited to the Vista Buddhist Temple for the Sunday service there. And they would also like a head count then because they have some great refreshments planned after the service. And if everyone could RSVP either downstairs in the temple office, there's a sign-up sheet, and there's also a QR code outside the Hondo and downstairs where the bulletin board is for the Dharma School bulletin board to an RSVP. That would be much appreciated. March 23rd. And looking ahead to April, on April 12th, our Dharma School is going to be preparing the Hanamido, which is the beautiful flower altar for the baby Buddha, in preparation for the April 13th Hanamatsuri service. So mark your calendar for Saturday, April 12th. I think it'll be at 1 p.m. here at the temple to prepare the Hanamido. And on May 17th, we're hoping a lot of Dharma School families can participate in the Feeding San Diego volunteer opportunity, Saturday, May 17th from 1 to 3 p.m. at Feeding San Diego. So please inform your Dharma School teachers if you would like to participate in that great activity to prepare food for people within our local community. And then finally, Memorial Day weekend, May 23rd to the 26th, is our annual Dharma School camping trip, which is a great event and activity, and I hope a lot of the families can participate. It will be in Mount Laguna, and Lisa Umekubo and Bob Schultz are planning that. So let them know if you are interested. There's a nominal cost for families and any Sangha members who would like to participate. Thank you.
Hello again. This is a reminder that our Junior YBL Southern District Obon t-shirts are on sale. We will be continuing these sales until April 23rd. So yeah, we have sizes small through extra, extra large, and they're $20 each. If you're interested, please see a junior. We have these sheets that will keep track of your orders. And yeah, you should buy a shirt because I designed it. And it's, you know, it's really cute, so I'd say go for it. Okay, thank you.
Come on, you can see it. See it, Junie. Junie, see it. See it. Junie, see it. You want to hold it? Thank you for buying cookies.
Thank you for buying Girl Scout cookies.
So she wanted to say thank you to everyone who bought Girl Scout cookies last week. For those who had pre-ordered, we do have your cookies available to be distributed today. We only have about 4 more Thin Mint boxes and 1 gluten-free cookies remaining. But if you want to order anything else that we don't have currently in stock, we can give it to you next week. So thank you, everyone. Thank you. Okay.
Good morning. How are you guys all doing? Thanks for the lead-in, Trish. So you guys know what cookies remind me of? Yes, recipes. I got one between last week and this week, so think again and bring some more. I'm still looking for recipes and stories, photos. I get a lot of promises, but I haven't seen anything yet. So just a friendly reminder. I'm still interested in recipes. Also, one of our members has turned 102, so I just wanted to let everyone know that Ruth is now 102. It's her birthday. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. Just a reminder that our temple will be participating in the semi-annual Interfaith Neighbors Helping Neighbors community food collection, benefiting the San Diego Food Bank. For this drive, a portion of all donations will be sent to help the LA fire victims. And as many families have been displaced into temporary housing, most needed items include energy bars, individual servings of crackers, trail mix, tuna, etc. And there will be a drop-off here at the temple on March 22nd at 9 a.m. to 11. But we will be collecting goods throughout the month, well, until March 16th through a Spring Ohigan March 16th. So you can bring whatever you want to donate during their next services. And if you'd rather make a monetary donation, checks can be written to the San Diego Food Bank and a receipt will be provided. Thank you very much.
Okay, a couple of quick announcements from the BWA Buddhist Women's Association. We're going to be having our Panko sale, which is it's a fundraiser to help offset registration fees for the FBWA conference for next year in October. And so the Panko will be available from March 15th. And it's a package, you know what Panko is, right? Okay. Anyway, so the package is $3, and so anyway, I hope you will support us for that. And then the other one is our English tea. It'll be our second, maybe annual English tea. It's going to be on May 3rd on Saturday this year. So this year's it will be a fundraiser for the 100th anniversary for the temple, which will be next year. Thanks. And I want to mention also after service, if you have any questions, that the ministerial staff will be available to answer questions. So Dharma school students may now oshoko and be excused to your classes. Smitty Sensei will now lead us in the chanting of the Vandana and Tisarana, which is on page 96 of the service book. Please join her in chanting from the very beginning.
Yes, please ignore the directions for leader and Sangha parts, and we'll all be the group of quails chanting together in unison. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato sama sambuddhassa. Homage to him, the exalted one, the enlightened one, the supremely awakened one. Buddham saranam gacchami, Dhammam saranam gacchami, Sangham saranam gacchami. I go to the Buddha for guidance. I go to the Dharma for guidance. I go to the Sangha for guidance. Namo Kie Butsu. Namo Kie Ho. Namo Kie So. Gasho Namanda 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 Namanda.
Thank you. Since Smitty Sensei will now share her Dharma message.
Okay, how many adults read the temple's newsletter, the Busei script? Okay, just kidding. Would it help you if we put puzzle and game pages in there? That's for many of us, that's the puzzle page. Okay, I won't do that to you. A month ago, on February 2nd, Punxsutawney Phil saw his shadow predicting 6 more weeks of winter this year. I know Moribe is feeling it. And according to tradition, if Phil, the weather forecasting groundhog, sees his shadow, it's an omen of more bad weather. And if he doesn't see his shadow, it means early spring is coming. Well, we've got another 2 weeks of San Diego winter, and then spring will be upon us. Although from the daily high temperatures last week or so, I think spring might have already been here. And with spring comes spring cleaning. Does anybody actually do spring cleaning anymore? And some folks still do. Traditionally, spring cleaning is literally the practice of thoroughly cleaning a house in the springtime. And this practice of spring cleaning is especially prevalent in climates with a cold winter. So I'm not sure San Diego qualifies as having a cold winter, unless you ask Sue. But most of us stop wearing shorts and even put on winter jackets and knit hats when the temperature dips into the 50s. So I guess that's cold for us. And even if you don't clean your house in the springtime, we often use that term metaphorically whenever we do heavy-duty cleaning, organizing, or decluttering, whether it's our home, our workspace, our life. So when I first retired from the Navy, I had just returned to San Diego after being stationed in Japan for 3 years. And upon moving back into our house, my wife Jackie said that it was time to clean out the garage, especially because I returned home from Japan with more boxes of stuff than what I took there. So it took me over 10 years to clean out the garage finally, so that we could put in a nice epoxy floor coating and custom cabinets and new lighting and make it a rather nice, livable, usable garage. So the garage is neat and clean now, but I had to put some things in storage, and some other stuff has been cluttering up our upstairs den guest room area for, I guess, a few years now. I'm not so much a hoarder as I am a pack rat. The difference is I'm reluctant to get rid of stuff that I'll probably need within 24 hours of disposing of it or donating it, even though I haven't used that particular item in the last 10 to 15 years. But with spring arriving either now or soon to arrive, it's once again time for me to engage in some spring cleaning. Time to declutter and clean out all of my stuff that I've stored upstairs. Jackie has been doing her part, going through things in the house and consolidating or getting rid of items that are no longer needed. And just the other day, as she was going through some of the things in her closet, I heard her exclaim, "Boy, do I have a lot of crap." Of course, that reminded me of the comedian George Carlin and his routine on stuff. Have you ever heard it? I think some of you, particularly you younger folks sitting there, are asking each other, comedian George who? Well, George Carlin's routine on stuff goes something like this. That's all you need in life, a little place for your stuff. That's all your house is, a place to keep your stuff. If you didn't have so much stuff, you wouldn't need a house. You could just walk around freely all the time. A house is just a pile of stuff with a cover on it. You can see that when you're taking off in an airplane, you look down and you see everybody's got a little pile of stuff, and all the little piles of stuff with roofs on them. And when you leave your house, you got to lock it up. Wouldn't want somebody to come by and take some of your stuff while you're away. And they always take the good stuff. They never bother with that crap you've been saving. All they want is the shiny stuff. That's what your house is, a place to keep your stuff while you go out and get more stuff. Sometimes you've got to move to a bigger house. Why? No room for your stuff anymore. Did you ever notice when you go to somebody else's house, you never quite feel 100% at home? You know why? No room for your stuff. Somebody else's stuff is all over the place. And if you stay overnight, maybe unexpectedly, they give you a little bedroom to sleep in, a bed they haven't used in about 11 years. Somebody died in that room 11 years ago, and they haven't moved any of his stuff. It's all still there, right where he left it. Right next to the bed, there's usually a dresser or bureau of some kind, and there's no room for your stuff on it. That's because somebody else's junk is on the dresser. Speaking of which, have you ever noticed their stuff is junk and your junk is stuff? And you say, "Get that junk off of here and let me put my stuff down." Well, my apologies. I don't do justice to the classic stand-up routine, and I also took the liberty of substituting the word junk for Carlin's original word of shit. I figured junk might be a little less offensive and probably shouldn't be saying it from up here. Anyways, in the world according to George Carlin, we would be a lot freer if we didn't have so much stuff cluttering our lives. At one time, Jackie said to me, "I thought you were a Buddhist." Not knowing where she was going with that comment, I replied with something intellectual like, "Yeah, so what?" She said, "Well, if you're a Buddhist, why do you have a house full of so much stuff? Shouldn't you have fewer attachments?" I guess ideally, that's what the annual temple rummage sale was for, so that we Shin Buddhists could empty our houses of all that stuff. Now we don't hold the rummage sale anymore, and we're giving our usable stuff to Goodwill, Salvation Army, AMVETS, and any other organization that will collect and redistribute our stuff. And then it can be somebody else's stuff. You know, It's not just our houses that are cluttered with stuff. Our minds get cluttered too. And unlike the collection of stuff in our houses, lots of people are kind of proud of the collection of stuff in their heads. Having a head full of stuff, especially when it's good stuff, makes you feel just a little bit smarter than the average person. You know things. You have all the answers. You pride yourself in having the ability to supply the correct answers every time there's a quiz show on. Even people on the street stop and take notice and say, "Check out the big brain on Brad." That's a line from the movie Pulp Fiction, if you don't know. So look at my big brain, see how much I know. The problem is, when we're convinced that we know everything, we tend to stop listening. We spout off the things we know, giving others around us little opportunity to share their thoughts with us. It's like sitting on the couch, shouting out the questions before Ken Jennings can even finish reading the answer. We want everybody around us to be impressed with our big brains, even if nobody's there to listen. So sometimes we become convinced that we know everything, especially if we view ourselves as knowledgeable or an expert in a particular subject. So there's a story about some quail, no, sorry, wrong one. There's a story about Nanin, a Japanese Zen master during the Meiji era. And once there was a university professor who went to visit Nanin to discuss matters of a Buddhist nature. And while they talked, it became clear to Nanin that the professor considered himself quite knowledgeable on the subject of Buddhism. The professor was spouting on and on about various Buddhist topics. He probably went on talking even longer than my Dharma talks. The Zen master listened patiently and then offered his guests some tea. And so Nanin went to get the teapot and cups, returning and set a cup before the visiting professor. And then the Zen master began serving tea while the professor continued talking. And when the professor's cup became full to the brim with tea, Nanin continued pouring. And as he poured, tea spilled over the edge and all over the table. And the professor watched the cup overflow and the tea cascading over the table and onto the floor. And finally, the visitor couldn't restrain himself any longer. The professor shouted at Nanin, "Stop! Stop pouring. What are you doing? The cup is overfull. No more will go in." And Master Nanin calmly replied to his visitor, "Like this cup, you're full of your own opinions, information, and speculation. Nothing more can get in. How can I share and show you the Dharma unless you first empty your cup?" So sometimes, just like our houses, we need to do a little spring cleaning of our heads. We need to stop being so impressed with our own big brains and allow others to impress us instead. We need to talk a little less and listen a little more. We need to stop being so full of our own foolishness and instead allow our senseis, our teachers, our mentors, and even our family members and friends to share the Dharma with us. Only when we open up our minds and toss out a few of the storage bins and boxes of our own opinions and theories that we have stored there and cherished forever, do we have room for the Dharma to really reach us. Only when we're able to receive the tea without it spilling over the rim and onto the table and floor can we really receive the Dharma without letting it just flow past us. So please join me in Gassho again. Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namandab, Namandab, Namandab.
Thank you, Sensei, for your message. Please rise for the Gatha Ondok-san 2 on page 128. Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namanda, Namanda. Thank you, Trishia. You may be seated. Please put your hands together for closing meditation. Do not look back and feel sorry about the past, for it is gone. Do not worry about the future, for it has not yet come. Live each day in the present and make it beautiful. Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namanda, Namanda. I'd like to thank Smitty Sensei for officiating the service today, and Ministerial Assistant Arturo for ringing the Kansho, as well as the Ministerial Assistants Sharon and Bill for assisting. Also thanks to our pianist Trishia and tech wizard Ken, not here, and Bill and Brevin, who was here. Thank you, everyone, for attending today's SHOTSUKI service, SHOTSUKI HOYO service. You're welcome to Gasho if you haven't yet done so. Minister's Assistant Noriko Kawai will be offering a message, a Howa, in Japanese immediately following the service. Or if you don't speak or understand Japanese, please join us for refreshments in the dining room downstairs. Thank you.
それでは日本語のお話始めさせていただきます。では合唱お願いいたします。この身は今は年極まりてそうらえば、定めて先立ちて往生しそうらわんずれば、浄土にて必ず待ち参らせ候べし。ナマンダブツ、ナマンダブツ、ナマンダブツ、ナマンダブツ、ナマンダブツ、ナマンダブツ。おはようございます。皆さんお元気でいらっしゃいますでしょうか。本日も皆さんにお目にかかることができて嬉しく思います。今日は日本語の方に残られる方一人もいらっしゃらないかなと思ってたのでいらっしゃって嬉しいです。ね、いつもよりすごく少ないですよね。いつもね、もうちょっといらっしゃいますけれども、よかったです、お越しいただいて。今ご紹介させていただいたのは親鸞上人ご消息からのお言葉です。ご消息というのは親鸞上人が関東から京都に帰られて往生されるまでに関東各地の門徒さんたちに向けて書かれたお手紙のことです。現代語に訳しますと、私は今はもうすっかり年老いてしまい、きっとあなたより先に往生するでしょうから、浄土で必ずあなたをお待ちしておりますという意味です。私たちはこの世に生を受けて、この世に生まれたからにはいつかこの命が終わる日が来ます。浄土真宗では阿弥陀様の本願のお働きによって浄土に往生することを説いています。これは私たちがこの世での命を終えたときに浄土に往生する。私たちより先に往生された方はお浄土で私たちを待ってくださっているということです。このことをクエ一緒と言います。一緒というのはお浄土のことで、クエというのは共にお浄土でお会いするということです。私はホスピスでチャプレンをしておりますが、ホスピスというのは余命6ヶ月以内であると診断された患者さんが受けられるサービスです。私が日々お会いする患者さんはもうあまり長く生きることができないと宣告された方々です。自分が余命あと6ヶ月と言われたらどう思うでしょう。または自分の家族がそうであると言われたらどうでしょうか。私は今まで身近な家族を3人亡くしました。祖母、兄、父です。祖母は96歳で老衰で亡くなったので、いわゆる大往生という亡くなり方でした。兄は急性膵炎での突然死でした。父は肺や心臓などいろいろなところが悪かったのですが、余命は宣告されておらず、亡くなった時は突然に感じました。ですので、私自身、家族の余命を宣告された経験はないのです。ですが、先ほども申した通り、私が毎日お会いする方々は、ご自身も、ご自分の余命を知っている。そしてご家族もそれを知りながら日々看病をされています。どんなにおつらいことだろうかと思います。その方々に寄り添ってお気持ちをお聞きしてサポートするのがチャプレンの仕事です。私の患者さんやそのご家族のほとんどの方はクリスチャンの方ですので、クエ一緒という言葉は使いませんが、亡くなった後、先に行った方にお会いできるという考えは多くの宗教にあるものだと思います。そしてそう思うことによってすごく慰められるのではないでしょうか。ホスピスのチャプレンとして 患者さんが亡くなる直前や直後に訪問してほしいと依頼されることがよくあります。その際に私は患者さんに向かって、またすぐにお会いしましょうねと言います。時々ご家族がというかお顔をされるのですが、そんな時は wherever it is、 それがどこであってもと付け加えます。ひょっとしてまた生きていらっしゃる間にお会いするかもしれない。でももしすぐ亡くなったとしたら、次に行くところでお会いしましょうということです。それがクリスチャンのご家族だったら、天国のことを言ってるのだなと思われるでしょう。でもご同房の方、浄土真宗の方だったら、苦へ一緒、往生をした際にはお浄土でお会いしましょうとなるでしょう。私たちはこの世に生を受けたからには、いつかこの命が終わることは頭では分かっています。でも大切な人を亡くしたとき、自分の死が迫ってきたとき、死というものをもっと身近に実感するのではないでしょうか。私の兄は51歳で亡くなりました。突然の死だったために家族はみんなショックを受けました。私は、兄はお浄土に往生して仏様になったんだな。でも仏様になったらみんなを助けるためにこの世に来てて、もうお浄土にいないんじゃないかな。もう会えないってことかななんて思っていました。それでそんな気持ちをその当時 Facebook に載せたところ、私が日本に帰った時にいつもお世話になっている、浄土真宗のお寺のご住職がこんなメッセージをくださいました。七高僧のお一人、天神菩薩が書かれた浄土論という本の中に、お浄土を一歩も動かずしてこの私をお救いくださるとあります。阿弥陀如来はいつでもどこでも、ただ今ここに私と一緒にいてくださる仏様です。つまり私たちはお浄土に参ったら阿弥陀様と同じ徳をいただくわけです。ですからお兄さんとお浄土で会えますよ。お念仏を通じて今も出会わせていただいているといただいても良いと思います。とおっしゃってくださいました。今ここに私と一緒にいてくださると聞いて、とてもほっとしたのを覚えています。大切な人の死を経験するのはとてもつらいことです。皆さんも一度ならずご経験されたことがあるのではないでしょうか。でもお浄土に往生した暁にはまた出会うことができると思うととてもほっとしませんか。いつかはまだわからないけど必ずまた会うことができるのだなと思うと、寂しさも少し和らぐのではないでしょうか。親鸞上人は門徒さんに宛てたお手紙でそれをおっしゃったわけです。この身は今は年極まりてそうらえば、定めて先立ち往生しそうらわずんば、浄土にて必ず待ち参らせ候べし。私は今はもうすっかり年老いてしまい、きっとあなたより先に往生するでしょうから、浄土で必ずあなたをお待ちしております。この元の文章の浄土にて必ず待ち参らせも候べしというところが特に私はもうグッときます。必ずもう絶対待ってくださってるやんっていうふうに思います。楽しみとまで言ってしまうと行き過ぎかもしれませんが、でもそういう気持ちにもなります。もちろんそれで悲しみや寂しさが全くなくなるわけではありません。やはり今までそばにいらっしゃった方がいなくなるというのはとても寂しいことです。でも苦へ一緒なのだ。お浄土に行かれた方々は今ここでもいつでも一緒にいてくださると思うことで、少しほっと感じていただければいいなと思います。 本日はお参りいただきどうもありがとうございました。では合唱してお話を終わりとさせていただきます。合唱ナマンダブナマンダブナマンダブナマンダブナマンダブナマンダブナマンダブ。ありがとうございました。